First contact catastrophe. Captain Mira Kwan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, staring into the endless void of uncharted space. Humanity's most advanced deep space vessel glided silently through the darkness, over 3,000 light-years from Earth, farther than any human had ever ventured. Quantum drive functioning at optimal capacity, Captain, reported Lieutenant Commander Rashid, the ship's engineer. His dark eyes reflected the blue glow of the holographic display. We've broken another record, 3,022 light-years from home. Mira nodded, her short black hair framing a face etched with the determination that had made her, at 39, the youngest captain of an Explorer-class vessel. Let's make sure we have something to show for it. Status on the survey drones. Deployed and scanning, replied Science Officer Dr. Elena Volkov. The Russian astrophysicist gestured at the data streaming across her console. This region appears devoid of life-supporting planets, but I'm detecting unusual energy readings approximately 2 light-hours from our position. Define unusual, Mira prompted, moving to Elena's station. It's like nothing in our database, Elena explained, her voice tinged with excitement. The energy signature doesn't match any known stellar phenomenon. It's artificial. Executive Officer Marcus Chen looked up sharply. Artificial? Are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything yet, Elena interrupted, but it's definitely not natural. Mira's heart rate quickened, though her expression remained calm. Plot a course, Lieutenant Park. Let's investigate. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, the tension palpable. Humanity had yet to encounter alien intelligence despite centuries of searching. The possibility that today might change that fact weighed on everyone's mind. 2 hours later, the Defiance decelerated as it approached the source of the energy readings. Visual contact, announced Tactical Officer Lieutenant Commander Sato. The main view screen activated, showing a massive structure floating in space, a gleaming metallic ring approximately 15 kilometers in diameter, with intricate patterns etched across its surface. Definitely artificial, whispered Elena, her eyes wide. And definitely not human. Scan it, ordered Mira, her voice steady despite the historic significance of the moment. Elena worked her console. The structure appears to be made of unknown alloys. I'm detecting power signatures, but no life signs. It could be automated or perhaps dormant. It looks like a gate, observed Marcus, studying the ring-shaped object. Or a weapon, countered Sato. Mira considered their options. Deploy a probe. Let's see if. Her order was cut short as the artifact suddenly pulsed with blinding energy. The view screen automatically dimmed to protect the crew's vision. Energy spike, shouted Elena. It's activating. The center of the ring began to shimmer, the empty space within it transforming into a swirling vortex of iridescent light. Shields up, Mira commanded. Defensive positions. The Defiance's advanced shield system engaged just as the vortex stabilized. Then, to the astonishment of the human crew, ships began to emerge from the portal, sleek, predatory vessels, with hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. 5 vessels. No, 7, reported Sato. Unknown configuration. They're arranging into attack formation. This is Captain Mira Kwan of the United Earth Ship Defiance. Mira broadcast on all frequencies. We are on a peaceful exploration mission. We mean no harm. Seconds passed with no response. They're scanning us, Elena noted. Extremely intrusive scans. They're trying to penetrate our shields to analyze our ship's systems. Marcus frowned. That's not very neighborly. They've locked weapons, Sato warned suddenly. Multiple energy signatures powering up. Before Mira could respond, the lead alien vessel fired. A beam of sickly green energy struck the Defiance's shields, causing the entire ship to shudder. Shields holding at 92%, reported Sato. But they're already recalibrating for another shot. Return fire, Mira ordered grimly. Defensive pattern Delta. Target their weapon systems only. The Defiance's advanced pulse cannons responded, firing precision bursts that struck two of the alien vessels with surgical accuracy. One ship visibly lost power to its weapons array. The other spun off course, leaking atmosphere. "The remaining ships are spreading out," Sato reported. "They're trying to surround us." "Lieutenant Park, evasive maneuvers," Mira commanded. "Keep us mobile." The Defiance twisted and turned with remarkable agility for its size, its inertial dampeners allowing maneuvers that would have crushed a human crew in conventional ships. The alien vessels struggled to track the unexpectedly nimble human ship. "Captain, I've partially decoded their communications," announced Communications Officer Lieutenant Rivera. "They seem surprised by our capabilities. I'm picking up what sounds like requests for reinforcements." "That's our cue to leave," Mira decided. "Lieutenant Park, plot a course away from." "New contacts," interrupted Sato. "A lot of them. Coming through the portal." The view screen showed at least 20 more alien vessels emerging from the vortex, larger and more heavily armed than the first group. "We can't take on that many," Marcus said quietly. Mira nodded. "Lieutenant Park, maximum thrust. Get us out of here." "Lieutenant Rivera, continue monitoring their communications. I want to know what we're dealing with." The Defiance accelerated away from the alien fleet, its quantum-enhanced engines pushing it to speeds the pursuers couldn't match. Several alien vessels attempted pursuit but fell behind rapidly. "They've launched some kind of tracking devices," Alina warned. "Drone-like objects, following our energy signature. Can we lose them?" Mira asked. "There's a nebula in Sector 47, Park suggested. "The ionized gas could mask our signature." "Do it," Mira ordered. The Defiance altered course, heading for the distant cloud of glowing gas. Behind them, the alien trackers continued their relentless pursuit. 5 hours later, the human vessel slipped into the nebula's swirling currents, its external lights dimmed to minimize detection. The pursuing drones lost their lock and drifted aimlessly at the nebula's edge. In the ship's conference room, Mira gathered her senior officers for an assessment of their situation. "What the hell just happened?" she asked bluntly. Alina spoke first. "We encountered an artificial wormhole, a transportation network. Those ships came from somewhere else, possibly another star system entirely. And they immediately attacked us," Marcus added grimly. "Not exactly the first contact scenario we hoped for." Lieutenant Rivera cleared his throat. "I've made progress decoding their language. They referred to us as verification targets and seemed shocked by our defensive capabilities. One transmission mentioned something like impossible resistance from primitive vessel." "Primitive," Rashid scoffed. "The Defiance is the most advanced ship humanity has ever built." "Advanced to us," Mira noted, "but perhaps not by their standards, or so they assumed. What shocked them was that we could fight back at all." Sato nodded. "Their tactics were overconfident, like they expected us to be defenseless." "There's something else," Alina said hesitantly. "The scans they performed, they were specifically focused on our biology, not just our technology. And their communication showed particular alarm about our neural patterns." "Our brains?" Marcus asked. "What about them?" "I'm not sure," Alina admitted, "but it seemed to disturb them greatly." Mira considered this information. "So we've stumbled into territory belonging to a spacefaring civilization that uses wormhole technology for transportation. They attacked without provocation, underestimated our capabilities, and now they're alarmed by something about human biology." She looked around the table. "Does anyone think this is going to end peacefully?" The silence was answer enough. "The quantum drive needs 12 hours to recharge before we can attempt to jump back toward Earth," Rashid reported. "And even then, we don't have enough power for more than a 1,000 light-year jump." "We need to learn more about our new enemies," Mira decided. "Alina, continue analyzing their technology based on our sensor readings. Rivera, keep working on their language. I want to understand their communications better. Sato, tactical analysis of their weapons and defenses." "What's our next move, Captain?" Marcus asked. Mira's expression hardened. Once the drive recharges, we're going back. Back to the wormhole. Seto asked incredulously. We need intelligence. Mira explained. Earth must be warned about this threat. And I don't intend to run home with nothing but vague descriptions. We need detailed information on their capabilities, their numbers, and their intentions. That's incredibly risky, Marcus cautioned. So is allowing a hostile alien force to attack Earth without warning, Mira countered. We're the only humans who know about this threat. That makes it our responsibility. As the meeting continued, deep in the nebula's concealing clouds, the Defiance crew prepared for a mission that had suddenly transformed from exploration to intelligence gathering, and possibly to war. Unknown to them, their encounter had already triggered a cascade of events throughout the region. The initial alien force, members of the Voraxian Confederation, had reported the unexpected contact with a species possessing technology they'd believed impossible for neurologically undeveloped beings. In the ancient politics of the galaxy, new spacefaring races were typically identified, assessed, and either subjugated or eliminated long before they developed dangerous capabilities. The appearance of humans, a completely unknown species with unexpectedly advanced technology, represented a failure of the Confederation's surveillance network and a potential threat to their dominance. On the Voraxian command station, Fleet Commander Zex Calter reviewed the battle footage with growing concern. The human vessel had demonstrated shields capable of withstanding their standard weapons, propulsion technology that outpaced their pursuit craft, and targeting systems of remarkable precision. Most disturbing of all were the biological scans. The humans possessed neural complexity that should have been impossible without the genetic engineering that had shaped every other advanced species in known space. They were an aberration, a naturally evolved intelligence that had somehow achieved technological sophistication without guided development. Find them, Zex Kelter ordered his subordinates. Deploy the entire sector fleet if necessary. That vessel must be captured or destroyed before they can return to their homeworld. The hunt had begun. On the Defiance, as the crew worked feverishly to prepare for their dangerous mission, Captain Mira Kwan stood alone on the observation deck, staring out at the swirling colors of the nebula that temporarily sheltered them. What have we gotten ourselves into? She whispered to the void. The void, of course, didn't answer. But somewhere in the darkness beyond the nebula, a galaxy that had existed in a carefully maintained balance of power for millennia was already beginning to shift. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, unexpected, unannounced, and unaware of the ancient rules they had just broken simply by existing. The war for humanity's future had begun with a single ship. The Defiance would have to live up to its name. Unexpected allies and galactic reckoning. 10 hours into their refuge in the nebula, the Defiance's sensors detected an approaching vessel, small, stealthed, and following an erratic pattern that suggested it was attempting to evade detection. Not Voraxian design, Elena observed as the sensor readings clarified. Its energy signature is completely different. Weapon status? Mira asked. Armed, but not powered, Sato reported. They're being cautious. Mira considered her options. Open a narrowband channel. Let's see who our visitor is. After several minutes of transmission, the unknown vessel responded, not with language, but with a series of mathematical sequences. Prime numbers, Elena realized. They're establishing communication basics. For the next hour, Rivera worked with the ship's AI to develop rudimentary communication. Finally, the view screen displayed a visual transmission from the alien vessel. The being that appeared was bipedal, but clearly non-human. With 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on a face covered in iridescent scales and 6-fingered hands, it regarded the human crew with what appeared to be cautious interest. I am Celerin. The alien transmitted, the ship's translation system struggling with the unfamiliar language patterns. Resistance fighter of the Nixari Collective. You are humans. I am Captain Mira Kwan of the United Earth Ship Defiance. Mira responded. How do you know what we are? The Voraxian emergency broadcasts, Celerin explained. They speak of a new species with unusual neural patterns and unexpected technology. They fear you. This makes you potentially valuable to those who oppose Voraxian rule. Mira exchanged glances with Marcus. We're not looking to get involved in a galactic conflict. We simply defended ourselves when attacked without provocation. You are already involved, Celerin replied grimly. The Voraxians have deployed their entire sector fleet to hunt you. They will not rest until your ship is destroyed and your planet located and subjugated. The words hung heavily in the air. Why are they so afraid of us? Elena asked. Because you should not exist as you are, Celerin explained. In this part of the galaxy, sentient species are cultivated. The Voraxians and their allies have maintained dominance for millennia by controlling the development of emerging intelligences. Species are genetically modified, their evolution directed to ensure they remain controllable. Your neural patterns indicate no such tampering. You are naturally evolved sentience with advanced technology, something the Voraxian power structure cannot tolerate. So we're a threat just by existing, Marcus summarized. Precisely, and potentially the greatest allies the subjugated races have ever found. Celerin's upper eyes blinked in what might have been hope. Will you meet with our leaders? There is much we can offer each other. Mira's decision was quick. Lead the way. The Nixeri vessel guided the Defiance deeper into the nebula, eventually arriving at a hidden outpost constructed within a massive asteroid. Inside a makeshift conference chamber, Mira and her senior officers met with the Nixeri Leadership Council, 7 beings representing a coalition of species that had been fighting Voraxian dominance for generations. The galaxy as we know it is divided between the Voraxian Confederation and the Axioni Dominion, explained Telaven, the eldest Nixeri counselor. A holographic map displayed the political boundaries spanning thousands of star systems. Both powers maintain control through technological superiority and biological manipulation of subject species. The Voraxians we encountered seemed shocked by our capabilities, Mira noted. Because your technology shouldn't exist, Telaven replied. The cornerstone of their control is the certainty that no species can develop advanced spaceflight without their guidance, their genetic tampering. The aliens' 4 eyes fixed on Mira. Yet here you are. And here we'll stay unless our drive recharges, Rashid pointed out. We're still 1,200 light-years from Earth and running low on resources. Another counselor, a serpentine being named Sith, spoke through the translator. We cannot repair your quantum drive, but we can provide you with fuel and resources. In exchange, we ask for human assistance in our coming battle. Battle? Marcus questioned. The Voraxians will converge on this sector soon. Sith explained. Our intelligence indicates they're gathering a substantial fleet, not just to destroy your vessel, but to crush our resistance once and for all. They believe we have allied with you already. Mira considered this information. So we've inadvertently dragged you into our conflict. No, Telaven corrected. You have accelerated a conflict that was inevitable, but your presence changes everything. If we can prove that naturally evolved intelligence can match or exceed Voraxian technology, it undermines the very foundation of their power. You want to use us as propaganda, Seto observed. We want to use you as inspiration, countered Telaven. And yes, as allies in battle. Your ship's defensive capabilities are remarkable. Mira stood, pacing the chamber. We came to explore, not to fight in someone else's war. With respect, Captain, Celerin interjected, the moment your ship entered Voraxian space, war became inevitable. If you return to Earth without confronting this threat, you merely delay the conflict and give the Voraxians time to prepare for a full-scale invasion of your world. The truth of the statement hung heavily in the chamber. Mira looked to her officers, seeing in their eyes the same realization that had settled in her own mind. They had an obligation not just to report this threat, but to act against it. What do you propose? She asked finally. Telaven activated a tactical display, a joint operation, While your ship's quantum drive recharges, we will provide intelligence on Varaxian movements and supplement your resources. When the Varaxian fleet arrives, we strike first, not to win a decisive victory, but to demonstrate the combined might of humans and free species, and to gather critical intelligence on their capabilities. And then, prompted Mira, then your ship jumps toward Earth, carrying representatives of our coalition and a formal proposal of alliance against the Varaxian threat. Over the next 48 hours, the Defiance underwent hurried modifications with Nixuri assistance. Their shields were recalibrated to better withstand Varaxian weapons, and their sensor systems enhanced to penetrate Varaxian stealth technology. In return, the human crew shared insights about their propulsion systems and weapons targeting algorithms. While engineers from both species worked, Elena made a discovery that changed the strategic calculus. Their genetic tampering has a side effect, she explained to Mira in the ship's lab. Look at these comparative brain scans. The holographic display showed neural activity patterns from humans alongside those of Varaxians and Nixari. The Varaxians have selectively bred themselves for logical processing and hierarchical thinking, Elena continued. But they've lost something in the process, the neural flexibility that characterizes human cognition. And they've deliberately engineered the same limitation into subject species like the Nixuri. Why would they do that? Mira asked. Control, Elena replied simply. Predictable minds are easier to dominate, but it makes them vulnerable to the one thing humans excel at, improvisation. Mira finished, seeing the tactical implications immediately. When the Varaxian fleet arrived 3 days later, 27 warships emerging from the nebula's edge, the Defiance and 7 Nixuri vessels were waiting, but not where expected. Using the nebula's electromagnetic properties, they had concealed themselves behind a particularly dense gas formation. They're deploying in standard search pattern, Sedo reported from Tactical, just as the Nixari predicted. Their tactical doctrine hasn't changed in 300 years. Celerin, now serving as liaison on the Defiance's bridge, explained. They have never needed to adapt. Well, they're about to get a crash course in adaptation, Mira declared. Execute Operation Thunderclap. The Defiance and its Nixari allies accelerated from hiding, emerging behind a Varaxian formation. Before the enemy could respond, the human vessel fired a series of precisely calculated electromagnetic pulses, not at the Varaxian ships, but at specific coordinates within the nebula itself. The ionized gases ignited in a cascade of reactions, creating an expanding shockwave that disrupted Varaxian sensors and communications. In the crucial moments of confusion, the Allied force struck with devastating precision. Target their command ship, Mira ordered. Disable, don't destroy. We want their data cores intact. The Defiance's advanced targeting systems locked onto the Varaxian flagship, firing pulse cannon bursts that systematically disabled its propulsion and weapons systems while leaving life support intact. Meanwhile, the Nixuri vessels engaged the escort ships, using tactics developed with human input that defied Varaxian predictive algorithms. They're trying to regroup, Sedo warned as the remaining Varaxian vessels attempted to form a defensive perimeter. Maintain pressure, Mira commanded. Don't let them establish coordination. The battle continued for 27 minutes, an eternity in space combat. The Defiance sustained damage to its outer hull and one of its secondary power systems, but its shields held. 2 Nixuri vessels were destroyed, their crews evacuating to nearby allies in escape pods. The Varaxian forces, however, suffered catastrophic losses. 8 ships destroyed, 12 disabled, the remainder retreating in disarray. Boarding parties ready, Marcus reported as the Defiance maneuvered alongside the crippled Varaxian flagship. Proceed, Mira authorized. Primary objective is their navigational database and tactical network access. Teams of human and Nixari fighters breached the Varaxian vessel, encountering stiffer resistance than expected, but ultimately securing the bridge and engineering sections. Within hours, Elena and the Nixari technicians had extracted terabytes of critical intelligence. Back on the Defiance, Mira reviewed the findings with growing concern. They've already dispatched scouts toward the direction we came from, she noted, studying the intercepted communications. They're trying to backtrack our trajectory to locate Earth. They won't succeed easily, Televen assured her. Your quantum jump technology leaves minimal traces, but this confirms they view humanity as a priority threat. With good reason, Elena added, displaying her analysis. According to their own assessment algorithms, our neural patterns combined with our technological development make us an extinction-level threat to Voraxian dominance. The Axioni Dominion has also been notified, Celerin noted grimly. They've requested samples of human biology for analysis. So both galactic powers now see us as a threat, Marcus summarized. Or as potential allies, countered Televen. The data we've captured includes indications of rising tensions between the Voraxians and Axioni. Your appearance may have accelerated a conflict that has been brewing for centuries. Mira absorbed this information, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. What had begun as an exploration mission now carried implications for the future of humanity and possibly the entire galaxy. Our quantum drive is recharged, Rashid reported. We can jump back toward Earth at your command. Mira nodded decisively. Prepare for immediate departure. Televen, select your representatives to accompany us. We need to warn Earth about what's coming and establish a formal alliance. As the Defiance prepared for its quantum jump, the remaining Nixari vessels formed a protective screen around them. Long-range sensors detected more Voraxian ships converging on their position, a larger fleet than before, with heavier armaments. They'll reach us in 20 minutes, Sato warned. We need to leave now. On the main view screen, Televen addressed the combined human and Nixari forces. Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic history. For millennia, the Voraxians and Axioni have maintained their dominance through the belief that sentient life can only advance through their guidance and control. The humans have shattered that myth with their very existence. The Nixari leader's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of profound respect. Whatever comes next, remember this moment. The day a single human ship changed everything. The quantum drive engaged, enveloping the Defiance in a cocoon of distorted space-time. As they prepared to jump, their sensors detected something unexpected, ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. But these weren't Voraxian designs. Axioni vessels, Celerin identified. A full battle fleet. They must have been monitoring the Voraxian communications. The view screen showed dozens of sleek, crystalline ships arranging themselves in attack formation, not just aimed at the Voraxians, but at everyone. Jump now, Mira ordered tersely. As the quantum drive reached critical engagement, the ship's sensors captured one final image. Voraxian and Axioni fleets opening fire on each other, even as both targeted the remaining Nixari vessels. The first salvos of what would undoubtedly become a galaxy-wide conflict flashed against the Defiance's shields as it phased out of normal space. 3 weeks later, the Defiance emerged from its final quantum jump just beyond the orbit of Jupiter. Earth's defense fleet, alerted by their approach, surrounded them in protective formation as they limped toward home. On the observation deck, Mira stood with Televen and Celerin, watching as the blue-green jewel of Earth grew larger in the viewport. It's beautiful, Celerin observed. No wonder your species fought so effectively. You have much to protect. We've opened Pandora's box, Mira said quietly. Earth isn't ready for this. We've barely unified our own planet, and now we're facing interstellar threats. Perhaps, Televen reflected, but your unreadiness may be your greatest strength. The Voraxians and Axioni cannot comprehend a species that advances through chaos and conflict rather than controlled development. Your unpredictability confounds their strategy. Mira smiled grimly. Small comfort when their combined fleets arrive. They won't arrive united, Celerin countered. According to the intelligence we gathered, Our battle has already sparked broader conflict between them. For the first time in millennia, their attention is divided. Giving us time to prepare, Mira acknowledged. We'll need it. As Earth grew larger in the viewport, Mira reflected on how dramatically the universe had changed for humanity in the span of a few weeks. They had ventured into space seeking knowledge and discovery. Instead, they had found war, oppression, and the sobering reality that the galaxy was not a welcoming place. But they had also found allies, and perhaps more importantly, they had discovered something about themselves. Humanity possessed qualities that made them uniquely dangerous to the established powers. Their neural patterns, their adaptability, their creative approach to problem-solving. These were weapons no Voraxian genetic tampering could replicate or counter. You know, Mira said as the first Earth defense vessels approached to escort them home. There's an old saying on Earth, be careful what you wish for. We wanted to find alien life. We just never imagined it would change us so profoundly. All first contact changes both parties, Televen observed. But rarely has a single encounter changed the course of galactic history. As the Defiance docked with Earth's orbital station, news of their arrival, and the alien representatives aboard, spread rapidly across the planet. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, but also its greatest opportunity. The galaxy had taken notice of the upstart species from a backwater star system, and nothing would ever be the same. In the command center of the Voraxian flagship, now engaged in battle with Axioni forces at the edge of the sector, Fleet Commander Zex Kelter reviewed the intelligence on the escaped human vessel. Find their homeworld, he ordered his subordinates. Whatever the cost. These humans represent a fundamental threat to the established order. They must be controlled or eliminated. But deep in the commander's mind lingered an unfamiliar sensation, doubt. For the first time in his long career, he faced an enemy whose actions he could not predict, whose technology defied established development patterns, and whose very existence challenged everything he had been taught about sentient evolution. The humans had escaped with knowledge of Voraxian technology and tactics. They had allied with resistance forces. They had demonstrated combat capabilities that should have been impossible for their level of development. And there were more of them out there. An entire planet full of beings with those same unpredictable neural patterns and that same dangerous creativity. Zex Keltar felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Across the galaxy, as news of the human encounter spread among subjugated species, another emotion took hold. Hope. If one human ship could challenge the Voraxian Confederation, what might an entire human fleet accomplish? The galaxy had existed in carefully maintained equilibrium for thousands of years. Now that balance had been shattered by a single ship from a species no one had known existed. The war for the future of the galaxy had begun, and humanity, ready or not, was at its center.